Sometimes you have to do that because the easy challenge is one you'll get lazy with. The big challenge gets you hungry.
Oh, how the tables turn.
That's a heavy topic, and we need to focus on that. If not for yourself, then do it for your children.
Black book is in
Hey,
Black
book.
men talk, black book. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers. It's sponsored by Government Plus Care, and being part of that movement, the team's reached out to over 500,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I like to say, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And you are watching Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community. And I'm here with one of my co-hosts, Mr. Kofi Sadat. What's up?
Greetings. How you doing, Dr. Vibe? How you doing, everybody out there? It's great to be here on Easter Sunday bun and cheese. So be here, brother. How you doing?
I am doing fine. It's been the weekend's gone by quick.
Mm.
I thought, the 3-day for some people, or just I don't know, but it just gone by really quick. Like tomorrow's Monday. I know a number of people have tomorrow off, which is good, but but one of the nice things was driving today, and some places there was less, but you go by places and there's no cars in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And going like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I can work with that. But it's been good. The weather could be better, could be worse, but I wish it was a little bit better and sunnier,
Yeah. It's a tricky one, man. I thought on Friday we hit the curve. We hit the curve. We were good. We were sunbathing out there, and then we remembered that this is the T-Doc. So April will do that to you. So.
Yes. I have to remember where we live. So what's been going on? What's a win you've had since we last got together?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know what? I'm leaning into rest as a win, right? Being able to mindfully rest has been good. Also, making sure they start my mornings with a little meditation, a little light exercise. So, kind of freshening up on the spring vibes, right? Moving into, feeling more active and, just really taking that in. So I think that's been the win. There's been a few opportunities. I'm going to be starting a new flex in the city of Markham. I'll let people know about it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really exciting, But that being said, man, rest. That's my win for the week. What about yourself? I know you're a busy man. How was your?
There's always wins coming. I would say, I met an elder about a month ago. Ran into him yesterday, and he messaged me after we met yesterday. He says, "Hey, you know what? I'd like to hang out with you a little bit more."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that, wow, that's and sort of that was very humbling. So elder feels that I'm worthy to hang out with him. And then also I had a conversation yesterday with about 35 men about how men handle grief and loss.
Interesting. Any insights? Anything you want to share from the conversation?
We've all had loss.
Mm-hmm.
And another interesting part of it too is that loss doesn't just mean someone transitioning. It can be loss of a relationship.
Yeah.
I thought when someone said that was really good to get that perspective. Like when we think of grief and loss, many of us automatically think about loss of a friend, parent, guardian, etc. But when that person brought up, it could also be loss of a relationship.
Yep. So true. So true. So true.
You know, that really expanded the conversation
Yes.
about, you know, grief and loss. And it's an area that I don't think is addressed enough. Well, maybe it could be addressed more
Right.
in our environment, because
True.
there's a lot of it. And I'm noticing now, and I don't know if you are, but people in our age ranges are.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's it. We're at that stage, right? So, and even younger, to be honest with you. Even
Yes, yes, yes. Very good point. Very good point, that it's not just elders, but, you know, like when we were younger, we're still young, but we were younger.
younger. Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of people around our ages when we were younger
Right.
transitioning, and now noticing it a little bit more now.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for a lot of younger,
Yeah,
specifically young men, right? So, yeah.
very, very true. Like, people may or may not realize in North America, any 80% of the people that take their lives
Right.
over 40 are men, and it's the same figure in a lot of cases in teenagers too,
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
youth.
Mhm.
So it's really a concerning factor that we need to be consistently addressing, and we periodically have therapists, counselors on this platform. I don't want us to continue to do that, because it doesn't go away.
Right. True. True. True.
You know, it doesn't go away. So it's a really important thing that I reflect on more. And you know, it's interesting because more and more men I speak to, you know,
Right.
what's on your mind, which, oh, well, someone transitioned or did this or did that. And and, you know, they don't have a consistent outlet to address it.
Yeah, it's true. And sometimes it's about vulnerability and
Mhm.
in humanity, right? Like it is something that we're grappling with, but it's a reality that we all have to lean into, because it's going to happen someday. But I think, like you said, the loss of relationships and that connection,
Yeah,
that stuff really impacts us at the end of the day, right? So
100%.
yeah. Mhm.
100%. All right. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a quick break. And when we come back, we'll do a little bit of housework. And we have a friend, we're going to be talking about the future today. The future, Futura, the future. And futurism. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds on Black Men Can Talk.
Check out Black Men Can Talk live on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern, where Dr. Vibe, Kofi Sadat, and Kofi Morris, where Black Canadian men come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community.
Watch Black Canada Talking live on Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, where Dr. Vibe and Cesar Diva Musa give their takes and POVs on news stories from a Black Canadian perspective.
We are back on Black Men Can Talk. So let's do our housekeeping right quick. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms we broadcast on. Email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, want to make everyone aware of the ADNC, Narrative Power Summit, coming up. People say, why are you talking about this now? July is going to come quick, people. So if you want to get good thought process on Black media, we have a number of people coming up from the United States to give their game on Black media, one of them being Philip Scott, who runs the ADNC channel on YouTube. And there's about 5 or 6 YouTube channels. Combined, they get over 19 million visitors.
Dope.
Every month. And he built it from the ground up.
This is it.
Over the last 8 years. And also, too, if you want to touch base with us, please email us, blkmen.talk@gmail.com. So, Kofi, we got a friend coming up on the platform, so I will let you do the introduction.
There you go. 100%. All right. As usual, we're always excited about, family coming on the show. We won't even say a guest. He's family. So, Brother Kelvin Gooms, born and raised in the T-Dot. He's the artistic griot,
Oh,
You got to drop those bombs for him. He uses his skills as a photographer, a web developer, and all his technical skills to create, comics, aka Black Sun Comics. We'll be talking about that, and workshops and using digital illustration to bring his books to life. So these are books by us, for us, stories of us, which we're excited to get into with him. He's been featured on the CBC, CTV, but more important, he's not going to be featured on the Black Men Can Talk.
Yeah, he's featured here right now. That's right.
Right here, right now.
now.
That's what matters. And, as we usually have our guest, Black Nerd, on the show, Kelvin also says that he's a certified Black nerd. I want to hear more about that. Without further ado, my brother, Kelvin, what's good?
There
Salute.
he is.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
What's cracking?
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invite, Kofi. I'm very happy. So thanks for the introduction. I'm happy to get it kicking off. Yes.
All right.
I left it out. But my brother is a DJ coming out of retirement as well. So we'll get into that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to DJ about 15 years ago.
Yes.
And then took a break, had kids, all that kind of thing. But it's kind of coming full circle now. So yeah.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Kofi, you want me to kick it off for you?
Oh, go ahead, brother.
All right. So let's go back in time. Who are you and how did Black Sun Comics begin?
Excellent question. So who am I? I am a kid who grew up in Toronto, moved out to Durham region when I was maybe about 10 years old, and was always into comics and science fiction. So this is going to date me, but in my time in the 80s, you didn't really admit to people that you read comics because you'd be the kid who get made fun of and get beat up and all that kind of stuff. So I kept it on a low, but I always liked it. And I was consuming science fiction and that kind of stuff all the time. And as a kid, it was kind of like an escape for the racism that I was experiencing. So it was a way to just forget that world and imagine myself in another. So anything from like Star Wars to Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, X-Men comics, Garfield comics, all that kind of thing I was consuming. And then I reached a point where I noticed that even though I liked all these intellectual properties, there were no Black folks in it. Like I didn't see myself represented. I didn't see myself reflected. And I didn't like that at all. And for a long time, I was angry and I would complain. But then as I got older, I realized that if you want to see the change, you gotta do it yourself. So that was the initial inspiration behind Black Sun Comics. I wanted to do a serious science fiction type story that featured Black characters, so people can imagine themselves in a futuristic looking world, because we often don't get that. A lot of the stories that we see are very stereotypical and deal with the, living in the ghetto and that kind of stuff. And that is a reality for a lot of Black folks. But to change those circumstances, you need to be able to imagine yourself in different scenarios. Right. So that was the catalyst for Black Sun Comics.
Dope.
I hope I answered your question.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well
can I add something? Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
I know you mentioned, the importance of, Afrofuturism and us as a people having a place in the future, which often, the say stereotypical animations, comics didn't really have us really in the future. But I also understand, and maybe you can expound on this a little bit more, with Black Sun Comics, how it's not just stepping into the future, but it's really connecting to what we call African intelligence or the past as well. So your characters have that connection with, Africa in terms of or African connection in terms of the past. So maybe expound a little bit on that in terms of, what does that look like for the characters?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when we see mainstream science fiction and fantasy, a lot of times it's based off this inaccurate view of medieval Europe. Like you look at Game of Thrones or even Star Wars, they're knights, right? I didn't want that to be the basis for inspiration. I wanted the motherland to be the basis for inspiration. So I didn't want to choose just one culture from the continent. So Black Sun Comics is a mishmash of a whole bunch of stuff, right? Some of the names are in Swahili. They use Adinkra symbols. There's also Egyptian hieroglyphs. There's the system of government is kind of like the Akan. There's warriors that are based on like traditional African fighting styles. And then there's juju and magic and superpowers and all that sort of thing as well. So it's a mismatch. Like the idea is that anyone from anywhere in the world, from the diaspora, can read it and see a bit of themselves in it. Oh. It's not meant to be an accurate depiction of what's happened in the past, but you can see a bit of yourself and say, "Oh, okay, if it all mishmashed together, it might look kind of like this." Another thing that you mentioned, Paul, so I was a fan of science fiction, and when I first started doing what I was doing, I was just calling it black sci-fi.
Right.
At the time, that's what I thought it was, and it wasn't until a bit later on when I realized that it was actually Afrofuturism. I didn't know what Afrofuturism was at the time, and really, it's just depicting, stories from a Black perspective. So it looks like a future view, but it always harkens back to Black history and politics. So without that grounding in real history, it's kind of irrelevant. It's just escapism. So it's based on Black history and politics. That's always going to be woven into the narrative, right? So Black Sun Comics is about a planet in an alternate universe on a planet named Alkebulan. And if you know what Alkebulan is, right, you'll kind of get the gist of the story. Right. Alkebulan is attacked by these strange aliens that just start destroying everything that they see. And then it's up to our heroes to try and figure out what's going on, learn to work together because they're from different factions, and then hopefully they can work together and set things right. So that's the overall premise of the main story.
Loving it. Nice. I love how you've kind of weaved everything together in a nice, clear narrative.
Yeah. I want to ask, how does Afrofuturism help us reimagine Black futures outside the usual stereotypes and trauma narratives?
Yeah, good question. So one thing that so Paul mentioned, well, one of you, I forget who, but someone mentioned that I do workshops. So one of the workshops that I do are media literacy workshops. And in these media literacy workshops, I like to break down the stereotypes that we see. So if you look at mainstream media, if there's a Black character in that TV program or movie or whatever, they're usually occupying a very specific role. There's usually about 8 different categories that they could fit. And so my goal was to write a story that didn't adhere to any of those stereotypes, right? If you're non-Black and you're watching TV, you can see yourself represented in almost anything. You can be a nerd, you can be a jock, you can be a superhero, you can be a goth, you can be the smart kid, whatever, right? It's open. But for Black folks, it's a very narrow representation. So to answer your question, what Afrofuturism does is it looks to exist outside of those stereotypes, right? Oftentimes in mainstream media, if we see a powerful Black character, by the end of the story, they're usually sacrificing themselves for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're gonna say?
No, I was just saying sometimes we're the magical Negro. We pop up, we give some advice, and then we're gone.
Oh, yeah. So that's exactly the name of the stereotype. There's the magical Negro, right? There's you'll find a good movie is Book of Eli. That's a good magic Negro story.
Right.
Great movie, and this is not. I'm not trying to diss Denzel or anything like that, but it's a magic Negro story. He has superpowers. He has the power to save himself, but chooses not to, right, and sacrifices himself for the society. So Afrofuturism looks to break out of those stereotypical roles and to see ourselves in future settings that again is not the norm of what we see in mainstream media, right? So my books tend to do that, and there's a whole Afrofuturist community in Toronto, in Canada. Actually, there's in 2024. I was at the Cosmic Northside conference. This was put on by Quentin Versetti, and he brought a whole bunch of Afrofuturist thinkers, artists together for a conference at the Canadian, oh my gosh, the Center for, I'm going to mix up the name. It's in Ottawa. Canadian Gallery? Oh, I'm forgetting the name. But anyways, we all got together and we had a great conference. And we're all on the same page. And there's folks from the States there. And it's really just about exploding those stereotypes and giving people something new to look at, an alternative to what's out there.
Nice. So as somebody who I know is a Black father,
Yes.
what responsibility or what opportunities as well do you see for Black fathers to share some of these stories with their children? And so how does that look, right? So for you, do you see any responsibility sharing that with your children and other young Black children as well? And what does that mean?
Yes, that's extremely important. It's imperative. So the reality of being a Black parent in a place like Canada is that you kind of have to well, what is it when they give you a vaccine? Inoculate? Is that the word? You have to inoculate your children against some of the nonsense that they're going to run into. So for us, I have two sons. We would read stories to them, but the stories would always feature Black characters, like almost 90% of the time, the books that we're reading. And the reason for that is it's important that as kids, they see themselves normalized in media, right? So if they're reading a book, it's about a Black character, right? And the Black character could be doing anything. And it's difficult to find those books. There's a few spots. There's like Knowledge Bookstore. There's the Blacker Center, a different book list. Now Valley Books.
Right.
But we started with like children's books, even just picture books, and we just read that. So as they're seeing it, they're seeing themselves reflected, right? The artwork in the house depicts Black folks, so they see themselves reflected. Paul said family. So we make it a point to surround them with like-minded people. So they're seeing Black men married to Black women with Black children who are functioning, right? So that's important. So it's exposing it to them when they're very young and keeping that going. So we have a small library in the house, and it's a curated selection of books that show positive and empowering images of Blackness to our kids, right? That's the foundation.
Right.
Anything else they can read, that's fine, right? The more you know is great. So it's not just limited to our curated collection, but that's the foundation. And then they can look at something else and say, okay, this is how this other group of people writes books. This is how this group of people writes books or makes movies or whatever. But they know that they feel normal. They don't feel othered, right? So that's it's a thing of huge importance. Right. Even the toys that we would get, I get them Black action figures if I can find them.
Right.
And just reimagine it and give them to play with. So yeah, it's a very conscious thing on the part of the parents, and it's imperative because you don't want your children going out into the world thinking that they're othered, because then at that point their self-esteem, their sense of worth becomes lower, and then they become more susceptible to the BS, to be quite frank.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Nice. Just to reset here, we're hanging out with Kelvin, author, illustrator, and founder of Black Sun Comics on Black Men Can Talk. We're talking about reanimating Black futures. So let's continue on. What are some of the biggest threats or challenges your characters face that mirror real world Black experiences?
Mm-hmm. So for me, the main character, well, every character that I write is based on some aspect of my life. In The Longest Night, which is the Black Sun Comics, the name of the series, Yarrow is very young and he's arrogant. He's powerful. He can back up his words, but he's arrogant and he doesn't always make good decisions. And he finds himself in a place where he's the only one against this wall of enemies, right? And that's very reflective of my school experience when I was younger, right? Oftentimes I'd be the only one. And some people were nice to me, but most weren't, right? So how do you deal with that when you're a kid in an environment where you're supposed to be learning, but it's actually very hostile? Right. So that's an experience that kind of reflected my history growing up, right? So it's interesting to see how the character deals with these kind of scenarios.
I like that. I think for a lot of us, we kind of had that reality coming up in the 80s and 70s and stuff like that, because the population wasn't the same in terms of a lot of Black folks now, or more Black folks, right? And that's very interesting to kind of see how that is still a reality for some folks, right? So I'll pass Dr. Vibe. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say a comment here. Need some koi. We know who that is. Shakoi, what is doing? Good to have you here saying, yes, we need new narratives. So good to have you here as always. I think probably one of our most consistent viewers of our live conversation. So appreciate that. Paul, I can hand it back to you. I always got stuff, but hey, you're up if you want.
Definitely. So I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know if you've had any thoughts of expanding from the print, right, which is great. I love the stories, like my children love it. But have you had any ambitions to move it into like a either film or a cartoon or anything like that? Have you thought about that?
Yes. Yeah, I thought about it a lot. So for those who don't know, there's a brother named Tugs, who goes by Tugstar, who I write the books with. He's a co-author, and he's a film dude. I'm not really a film dude. I don't know much about the film process and animation process. I like watching cartoons, but I don't really know much about how they're made. So we go back and forth about how to transition it from a book, static pictures, into something that's moving. And what we've actually been discussing is using AI to do that. So the pictures are generated by myself, like I do that, but we're thinking of, and we're still playing around with it. I've done a few little test prototypes, proof of concepts.
Yeah.
So I would create an image and then give AI instructions for how the character would move. Maybe they're jumping over something, right?
Yes.
And then use AI kind of like as the animator. So instead of a human being, we use the AI, and that cuts down our budget because we don't have to hire an animator. So we're playing with that idea. Okay. Now, unless someone wants to give us $1 million or
out there, people
$3 million, then we can hire a group of skilled animators and human beings who can do it all. But resources are limited, so we're trying to make that stretch as far as possible. So we're looking for any advantage that we can take. So right now, the most feasible way is probably AI, just to animate the clips, and then I would go and edit it together into something that makes sense, right? And maybe we put it up on Instagram as 1-minute reels, or just mini dramas. Something like that is what we're thinking of. So yeah, the idea is there. We're just still working on figuring out the execution of it all. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking forward.
No, it's interesting because what you talked about, short dramas are becoming a big thing. They're becoming a big thing. So um, I suggest you may want to take a look at that. But yeah, a lot of people are putting a drama series in shorts on like either Instagram, YouTube, or something like that. And it may be an idea that you may want to pursue further.
Yeah, there's actually they're called micro dramas. Now,
There you
now
go. That's
it
what
just
I was
came back
looking
to
for. Yep.
mind,
Yep.
and they're huge in China. So in China, micro dramas are like that. That's how a lot of people consume their media, because everyone has a phone,
Right.
and you know, and if you're standing in line waiting for a minute, you just watch this 1 minute drama, and then it usually ends on a cliffhanger, and then you watch the next one and the next one, and
Okay, yes.
before you know it, 30 minutes is gone, but
Yeah.
you've been entertained, right? So that's kind of the model that we're looking at leveraging,
Mhm.
right? What they're doing in China, but just using it for our narrative. Yeah.
Love it.
I want to ask, when you started off, how challenging was it to mix science, technology, magic, and monsters with African-centered aesthetics?
It was easy.
Wow. What? You hit the easy button. The easy button. Go ahead.
I'm not saying that to brag. Like I said, from since a kid, I've always been consuming science fiction, all that kind of stuff. So ideas come to me really quick. I'm never at a loss for ideas. The problem for me is filtering which ideas are good enough to actually start working on. Right. So I always have to narrow it down and say, okay, I want to do 5 things, but I I don't have unlimited time. So I always have to choose. So to answer your question, mixing all that, it was very natural for me. Right. I put black dude in a scenario. He's fighting these alien zombie creatures. Right. It's reminiscent of my school experience, which happened in real life.
Right.
The people who help the main character have connections to the what we call the spiritual realm. So they have superhuman abilities. So in my mind, it all makes sense. And sometimes I catch myself when I'm talking to someone who's normal and I talk about these things.
Yeah.
They look at me a bit sideways and say, I think this cat's just a bit off. But that's just a natural state of being for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kofi, can I just ask another question
Sure.
built on what he just shared? So you've said that image creation is more about emotion than content. What does that mean in your day-to-day drawing and storytelling?
I think it speaks mostly to the human experience. Like, for instance, I can remember my grade 1 teacher, my kindergarten teacher. Sorry, or her name was Mrs. Wyatt, and it's been 163 years since I've been in school, but I can't remember a thing that she said. Right. The content that she delivered, I couldn't remember a word, but I can tell you how I felt. Right. I liked going to school. I liked learning. I liked being in school at that age when I was in kindergarten. After that, things got a bit sideways, but for that first experience, it was good. So that speaks to the images as well. So an image can speak 1,000 words, and I see it when I put up a booth at an event and I'm selling books, and I will see kids walk by, and oftentimes it's smaller Black children, and they'll look up at the posters and stuff, and they're in awe, and I can see the wheels turning in their head. They're like, I've never seen anything like this before. What is this? Right? Or that guy looks cool. I want to be like that guy. Right? Kids imagine themselves as adults.
Right.
So the picture speaks to something in someone's soul. That's how deep it goes for me. So I'm trying to evoke that thing that sparks someone's interest in their imagination. Right? They may have never seen something like this before, but they're like, oh wow, this looks so cool. What is this? And kids will come up and they'll ask me all sorts of random questions, and I'm happy to answer, because I know I'm planting a seed, right? It's just a small part that I play in their lives, but once that seed is planted,
right,
they will go on to do something fantastic.
That's great.
Love
Kofi?
it. So in the world of being a Black nerd, what would you say is like your top well, five of the black characters, other than your ones that you've created, but in terms of comic characters that are black, right? What is your top five you would give us?
That's a tough question.
You see, listen, everything is easy to him. He can create from the mind, he can combine all these things. But you give him a true black nerd question, then things start going sideways. I hear you, brother.
You stumped me. You stumped me, Kofi.
No, well, I have some that may. I've done a little bit of research. Let's see if I have
Okay.
some names.
Go ahead.
Claremont,
I don't know that one.
X-Men. Is that an influence for you?
Chris Claremont is a writer for X-Men. Yes.
Yes. But so was X-Men an influence on what you do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you see, the reason why I have trouble mentioning is not because I can't name the characters. It's
Right.
because I find the ones that are put out by mainstream media, there's something problematic about it that prevents me from liking them fully. So
Okay.
in X-Men, there was Storm.
Right.
Right. And if anyone's familiar with X-Men, Storm is the character Aurora. She's from this tiny village in Africa, the country of Africa, according to X-Men. And in this tiny village in the country of Africa, there are these people who have long flowing white hair and blue eyes.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
Storm, when I first started reading X-Men, I didn't even know Storm was supposed to be a black character. Like I didn't understand, right? And then as I read the story, like, oh, she's from Africa. Oh, she's supposed to be black. So the character I like, Storm is cool, right? She's powerful, she controls the weather, all that stuff. But black folks don't really have blue eyes and long flowing white hair, right? It just doesn't happen. So even as a kid, I realized this wasn't done by someone black, right? So there's Storm, there's Power Man and Iron Fist. So Iron Fist had a TV series, right, where he's bulletproof,
Right.
but
Yes.
you know he's in the ghetto, right? So,
Yes. True. I know the story. Yeah. Yes.
right.
True.
So like, why? There's Cloak and Dagger. So Cloak and Dagger is kind of more like a fringe one, but the way is Cloak and Dagger. Cloak is a black male character. Dagger is a white female character. So the white female character, Dagger, she can throw these shards of light. She's pure light. She's pure energy.
Right.
Cloak, on the other hand, is darkness and depression and sadness and everything bad, right?
Right. I hear you.
He happens to be black. So the character is cool, but then there's always these problematic things that I find. So when people ask me who are your top five,
right,
I really don't have a top five because my brain just prevents me from liking them fully. I just see what's problematic and I'm like, they could have done better.
Yeah. I love that insight though. I think again, simply because they're black, we're thinking, okay, well, yes, but I like the way that you've looked at the different layers and who creates what and what's challenging, right? Because we just want to see, hey, there's a black person on the screen, and we're happy to see that, right? So I'm glad those are newfound levels that even I'm gonna look into some of these characters myself, but I like that insight.
And don't get me wrong. Like I'm happy for the black actors that get to play these characters. I'm glad they're in mainstream movies. I'm glad they're getting paid. That is great. That's fantastic. I'm not hating, right? I'm like, make your money, do your thing. That's all good. But just be aware of the problematic elements of these characters if you're just someone who's watching it. Like you always have to have a critical eye when you're taking in media so that it doesn't program you. So that's something that at this point I can't turn it off, right? I see all that stuff.
That critical eye. Okay, all good
stuff. I also wanted for you to provide some insight about Afrofuturism as a tool for healing, hope, and mental health in Black communities.
So again, this is it's kind of about escapism to a certain extent. Right. And to be honest, it might not be realistic for everyone. If someone's in the thick of it, you know, they might not have time to see outside of themselves. But for someone who can, it's really just seeing an alternate representation of Blackness. So it's not going to be what you see on the mainstream. And that could be something that someone is longing for and they don't even realize it.
Right.
I think back to myself as a kid watching science fiction. These things I can articulate to you now because I'm older, I have more words. But as a kid, I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't tell what. I like Super Friends, but
Yeah.
something was wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it at the time. And it wasn't until I got older where I started really studying and then breaking things down. So Afrofuturism became important to me because now I can see something that matches my vision, right? What I have in my head, right? When I look at other Black folks, I don't see the stereotypes. I see people. I see potential. I see so much that can happen. But society tells me something different. So the vision that society is putting on me is not real. It's not my reality. So if I can look at a book, you know, the fiction the fiction story that's in the book matches more of my reality than what's in the real world. So it goes deep, but that for me helps my mental health because it lets me know that I'm not crazy. Right. So when I do these alternate depictions of Black folks, you know, the common thing is, oh, well, that's not real. Black folks are supposed to be doing this stuff.
Right.
But then when I see other people look at the books and say, oh, this is so cool. I love this. I've never seen anything like this before. It lets me know, okay, you know what? I'm not insane. Other people think the same way that I do.
Yeah.
Right. They just haven't seen anything in real life that they can latch onto and say, oh, okay, yeah, you did it. You did it right. So that's how it helps my mental health. And I'm sure it does the same for other folks who read it as well.
I love it. I love it. I love it. May I ask a question, Dr. Bud?
Absolutely, no problem.
Yeah. So earlier we talked about, or you expressed, you know, AI potentially is a tool that can help you maybe, you know, convert your works into, you know, kind of a animation piece. But as a Black creative, right, and you know, when it comes to from music to photography to, you know, illustration, do you see any negative impact or challenges to Black creatives when it comes to AI and the use of AI?
That is an excellent question. Any challenges? The AI isn't made by us, right? So there's a saying. My family's from Anguilla. I was born and raised here, but my family's from Anguilla, and there's a saying that sheep don't make goat. And that just means that, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So if the person creating the AI is biased, then the AI has no choice but to be biased as well. So it would be a case of whatever the AI spits out might need to be edited in order to make sense from the perspective of showing positive and empowering images of Black characters, right? So sometimes I've used AI to generate images, and sometimes it gets it right, but other times it does funky things, like it does weird hair or just something silly.
Yeah.
So you still have to be critical of what it spits out, right? You're still the human being in control for now until the AI starts thinking for itself. Then we're all in trouble, but that's another story. So it's just having a critical eye and still being able to edit what is spit out at you.
Right.
But I think that we should take advantage of AI. Right now, it's still a tool.
Right.
And if it can be used to further whatever it is that you're doing, I'm all for it. The only thing that I would be against is if if I generate an AI image and try and pass it off as art.
All right. Ooh, I like that.
That I'm not really into. It's not hard. I like AI for the ideation process and to do grunt work. Like, here's my picture. I need you to animate it. Go.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of stuff I think is a good use of AI.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So when you think about your younger self who didn't have stories like this, what do you want to give back through Black Sun?
I don't want kids to be confused. That's the main thing. As a child, and you can do this to children because they're young and impressionable. I had all these negative thoughts about myself, right? Through no fault of my own, right? And no fault of my parents either. But when you're walking into a world where you're constantly being harassed, not only by your classmates, but by the teachers too, right? These things start to stick in your head, right? And it wears on your self-esteem, it wears on your mental health, and you're not able to reach your full potential because you don't even think you have potential, right? You don't think you're going to amount to anything the way some of these folks would make you feel. Right. So I didn't want anyone else to go through that, right? I didn't want any other Black child to go through that ever. And if I could do something, however small, with my limited resources to change that narrative for someone, then I was going to do it, right? I think we're all given gifts, right? Whether you believe in God, Allah, whatever, we're all given gifts. Yeah. And I think it's our job to use those gifts to make the world better, right? So that when we leave, it was better than when we got here. So I happen to have some talent in terms of art, so that's my vehicle for communicating to folks. I rambled a lot. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that's fine. More than fine. No, not at all. It's good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's the perspective that I'm coming from. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. It's not even just me. I know I went through it. I know a whole bunch of folks went through it too. I'm not unique.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So are there any future plans that you want to share that you have in the works without giving away too much? But yeah, any future plans you have in terms of where you want to see things go for yourself?
Yeah. So The Longest Night is more of like a serious Afrofuturist story. Like there's high stakes, people die, all that kind of stuff. It's very heavy. So I wanted to take a quick break from that, and I'm working on a comic strip called Seymour and Klops. And this is geared towards this 7 to 12-year-olds, I guess. Anyone can read it. And it's a comic strip, a humor comic strip. It's about a child genius inventor named Seymour. And he's very smart, and he likes to build certain things. He's always in books. He's inventing. He's like an engineer. And he's shy and introverted. But then one day he comes across this strange blue one-eyed cat. That's what I mean when I string all this stuff together. And they become best friends. The one-eyed cat is very ill-tempered. He gets into a lot of trouble. So the humor comes from the interaction between these two. This one character who's very shy and reserved, and this other character who's always pulling him into foolishness. And how do they navigate the world? So that's a comic strip that I'll be putting out in the spring. I'm going to be at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival with that book. I'm also going to be at the Word of the Street Festival with that book as well. So I'm getting things ready for those two big festivals. But yeah, that's the next thing. Seymour and Klops, a humor comic strip about a shy, introverted child genius and his best friend, a one-eyed blue cat from another dimension, who is hell-bent on
Where did the one-eyed blue cat come from?
You can't let the secrets out. You can't let the secrets out. We got to wait for that. Listen, we'll get that off air. The audience has to wait for that.
You have been puzzled about that, brother.
The audience has to wait for those gems to come up.
If you go to blacksuncomics.com, you'll see an image of that and see. But to your point, the magic and monsters, how does it all mix? Like for me, it's just completely natural. It just flows.
Nice.
Other people look at me like a weirdo, but I get it.
You're a creative. Got some comments here. So Shame God says Does Kelvin have a YouTube channel or Twitter? I did put it in the comments, but I'll put it on the screen. But you're watching on YouTube, so it should be in your comments, but we'll put it on the screen right now for you. There's all the right there. There's all the information: website, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. And it also should be in the comment section where you're watching on your phone. So that is taken care of. Another.
Yeah, go on. Go on. Say what you're saying.
No, and also, so Derek is asking. Oh, no, Derek goes, Boondocks was a game changer for me.
For real.
There we go.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
Yes, and Derek, his social media site, I've given that information on the screen, so you should have that. And Shame God goes, thanks, Doc. My pleasure. Here to serve. Sorry, you were going to say, Kelvin. Go ahead.
I do have a YouTube channel. I'll be very honest with you. I haven't updated it in a very long time. So that's something I'm hoping to do in the future as I get more time. But people still watch it. I do tutorial videos on how I made my previous series, Black Sun Comics. So a lot of people tune into that and just kind of get tips and tricks and that sort of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have some quick questions for you before we end it off. So, first question, what is one image or character you wish you had seen as a black kid in comics or animation?
I would have liked to have seen a quote unquote regular black kid who has two parents, right? Mom and dad who are married to each other. Cosby Show was the closest representation I ever saw to this date. And just a funny story or a science fiction story, just anything, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's it. Something that more reflected my reality.
Right.
That's what I would have liked to have seen.
Okay. Another conversation piece. When you hear Black futures, what's the first word or feeling that comes to mind?
Black futures. Optimism. Technology. Power.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
technology, optimism, power. Yeah, I feel optimistic about the future. There's some things that concern me, but overall, I still feel optimistic.
Good. Shame God has a question. What are some of Kelvin's favorite fictional characters?
Like just in general? That's a good question. The list is too long to name. The first movie that comes to mind that I saw recently is Logan, the X-Men one, Logan.
Okay.
It's a good movie until they killed off the black family. That part I didn't like.
You didn't see that coming.
Well, no, because there's no black folks in the film. And there's this one part where their car breaks down, this black family helps them.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's like a functional black family. This is great.
Yeah.
But then they all end up getting killed. So take that part out and the movie's great.
Great.
So Logan, for those who don't know, is Wolverine from X-Men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's Canadian, by the way, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Who else? I can't think of these questions.
No problem.
Yeah, that's all I got. I hope that answers your question, Shane.
No problem. Another one here. If you could live in any fictional black sci-fi or fantasy world, which would you choose and why?
And don't say Wakanda.
I actually wouldn't say Wakanda.
Okay, there you go.
I actually wouldn't say that. Here's the funny thing. Because Afrofuturism is based in Black history, a lot of it is about fighting that kind of stuff. So even the world that I created, I don't know if I'd necessarily want to live in it because it's very, very brutal. They win at the end. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it comes at a very high cost. Right. So I don't know if I could answer that question for you. I think if there was any one, it would be the one that I'm creating now for Seymour and Klops. that's more kind of like my lane in terms of danger, right? I don't have to worry about losing my life there.
Yeah.
Okay, two more quick ones here. You're not just an artist, you're running a publishing company. What have you
Yes.
learned about the business side of independent Black comics?
It's tough.
Mm.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do. You can do it and you can profit from it, but it's not easy. It's something that's on my mind constantly. You have to be out there hustling your books. You also need to be able to invest in yourself, right? So that means sometimes spending money on ads, like Instagram ads or Facebook ads, that kind of thing. Spending money on purchasing books, because when I have books to sell, I purchase those books with my own money, and now I have to sell those books to make my money back,
Profit.
plus the profit.
Yes.
And if I'm at an event, I've paid money for that table, so I have to make the profit back from my books and then profit from the table. So it's work. It's a lot of work, but it's fulfilling because I know it makes a difference, because people have come up to booths and told me, I never knew my kid used to draw. Now they're drawing all the time. And that fills my heart knowing that I had a small part in inspiring that person to find that artistic side of themselves. So it's tough, and I'm constantly learning. Things change. Like even on Instagram, I would post stuff on Instagram, and as long as I hashtagged it the right way, people would see it. But now that doesn't happen. The algorithm has changed. So a lot of people in my audience, people who follow me, don't see what I post, because I see them in person and they're like, oh, I didn't know you posted this. So you have to pay Instagram to get them to show you the post to the people who follow you, and then to more people as well. So it's keeping track of these social media changes and algorithm changes as well. If there's a way I could do it without social media, I'd be there in an instant. But it's kind of like a necessary evil right now. So
I'm just going to throw out a suggestion. If you want, we can talk about this offline. Take a look at YouTube.
Okay.
Take a look at YouTube. Of course, I'm biased, but the thing is, that's just for me. I think YouTube is a market that you could certainly tap, and I don't know if there's a lot of content like yours on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, when I was doing my YouTube channel before, it was kind of kicking off, but it's just time becomes a factor. Yeah. But I can definitely look at it again. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that.
Reach out to me and ask me any suggestions. I can more than happy to provide.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. Kofi, any last thoughts before we let this man
from that little exchange?
I don't know if he's going to go to reality or go to the future. I don't know.
Listen, from that little exchange, I'm like, this is the reason why Black men can talk and must talk. You know what I mean? And share that wisdom. So I want to thank you, on behalf of the show, for really coming through. I know it's been trying to make it happen, but it happens, so it's all good. But I really want to thank you for your time and your wisdom and your knowledge, which is of the most importance. And definitely, folks are out there, and we're gonna have this on the replay for sure. But I thank you for that. And somebody who didn't grow up as a Black nerd, you're making me rethink my life choices. If I was a Black nerd or a Black child, we'll go there. I love it.
How can we support you? How can us support you best?
Go to blacksuncomics.com, pick up some books. That's the best way to support. That's what keeps us going.
100%. All right, as we wind it down here, as always, want to say thanks to everyone for watching us live on the replay. If you want to get a hold of Kofi Morris, email getwellstayfit@gmail.com, Instagram Kofi Coach _ and Cosmic Wellness Group, also Facebook Kofi Coach. Mr. Sadat, nazojam@gmail.com, Instagram Mooroon, that's Moore, by the way. And YouTube, Nazda Community, Facebook, Paul.Osborne31. And if you want to find out more about myself, just go to taplink.cc/the VIBESHOW.com. And also, as I said at the beginning, if you want to get in touch with us, please feel free to email us BLKMENCAN talk, blackmencantalk@gmail.com. Also, too, you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the Dr. Vibe Show website, and Paul Osborne on Facebook. So this is how we do here. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Always don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both, by the way, and make it better. God bless. Peace, well. Keep the faith while good. And take care, everyone. Be well.